Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about Naruto, What If Naruto Become a Devil, Part 2. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please do support for more awesome content and also hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends and also support the creator of this fanfic. I have created many playlists, check it out in the channel. So let's start the video. Hey Riaz-chan, yeah, a few of my sister's classmates asked her to join them for lunch. Naruto replied before noticing that the redhead seemed to be alone. So where's Akeno? Usually she's with you during this time. She had to take care of something, so I decided to spend lunch with you. Riaz smiled down at the blonde before moving to the spot next to him. Is this spot taken? No really, go ahead. Naruto nodded as he watched her sit down next to him. He could still remember Saber telling him about what Riaz really was. Mentally shaking his head, Naruto started having a small conversation with Riaz about some of the small stuff such as the weather, classwork, and other topics. As time passed, Naruto decided to check and see if what Saber had said was really true. So how's your club been doing? It's been going pretty well, we've been getting a lot done. Riaz responded. There's never a dull moment either. Naruto looked at Riaz with a curious expression. Interesting. So how many people are in your club anyway? We've got 4 members including Akeno and I. So what's with the sudden interest in my club? Riaz asked as she leaned in a little closer. Are you thinking about wanting to join? Well, I can't say it doesn't catch my attention, a club that focuses on learning about the supernatural creatures of this world. After all, there is a lot of history and legends involving such creatures like angels, fallen angels, and devils, Naruto said as he placed his arms behind his head as he leaned back against the tree, almost missing a small twitch of Riaz's hand. Stuff like that would be interesting to explore. I see, Riaz replied before slowly turning back to look at the blonde. Naruto-kun? Yeah, what's up? Naruto answered, already knowing what Riaz was thinking of asking. She was cut off by the warning bell ringing, telling the students that lunch was over and it was time to get back to class. Naruto quickly stood up and patted his pants before turning to Riaz and extended a hand out to her. I guess that's it for lunch then, let's get going. Right, Riaz placed her hand in Naruto's, silently enjoying the warm feeling it gave off. She felt him lift her onto her feet and gave him a small thank you. No problem, you're my friend Riaz-chan. Naruto smiled as he reluctantly let go of her hand, having also enjoyed the soft feeling of her hand. And remember this, even if you're not human, I trust you. Before the redhead could say anything else, he had already started walking towards the school building. Riaz stayed behind a bit as she stared at Naruto's back. So I was right, you do know Naruto-kun. Riaz thought as she hurried over to walk alongside Naruto back to the classroom. As the two of them did, a lot of the other students watched them with looks of both glee and jealousy. One of the 2 great gentlemen was together with one of the 2 great ladies, and this, everyone, is how rumors start to spread. Later that night. Alright Naruto-sama, as soon as we get to our training spot we'll do our usual drill before getting deeper in our training, understood? Saber said as she and Naruto traveled through the forest. Sounds good to me. Naruto replied as he continued down his usual route. Hey Saber, how long did it take your first master to learn how to do this? It's hard to say. He actually had a holy sword before he acquired my partner and I, so he already had experience when it came to that sort of thing. Saber had brought her hand up and made a thinking pose, but I have to say by the rate we are going, you should have a decent control over soon. Not really the answer I was looking for, Naruto thought with a deadpan tone before shrugging. Well, I will try to master it in a month or 2. Naruto-sama, I think that's getting a bit ahead of yourself, Saber replied with a sweat drop falling down the back of her head. Nonsense, one of the best motivators is when you set a goal for yourself. Naruto's eyes looked down at his clenched fist. I have to get stronger so I can protect my family and friends. You're a very dedicated Naruto-sama. Saber smiled at her master's dedication. He was the kind of man who would do anything to protect the people he cared about. Very well, tonight we will train even harder to reach your deadline. Speaking of friends, a certain red-headed devil was shadowing Naruto from a distance behind him. Truthfully, Riaz had used her familiarity earlier to follow Naruto after school for the past few days, feeling something had been off about her blonde friend. But for some reason her familiar was never able to follow him all the way to his destination, and after their conversation earlier, Riaz decided to go herself instead. What could he be doing so far in the woods? Ria's thought in curiosity as she stared at Naruto's back, thoughts of what he said earlier still in her mind. She was about to move again when she noticed Naruto coming to a halt. What is he? Wait, this is Naruto-sama. Saber said as her body started to glow before entering Naruto's body. Yeah, I know. Be prepared just in case. Naruto thought back before calling out through the darkness. I know you're there, come on out. Impressive. Naruto turned his head a bit to see a man walking out from behind a tree. He had the appearance of a man in his early 20s with blue hair that was spiked upward and crimson red eyes. He was wearing white shirt with a black leather jacket over it and black leather pants, but what caught his attention were the two black crow-like wings on his back. I'm surprised you were able to detect me. Kind of hard not to when you're emitting a killer intent, Naruto said as he placed a hand on his hip. So by the look of your wings, you must be a fallen angel. That is correct, I am the fallen angel, Abazoth. Abazoth introduced himself arrogantly. Cocky guy. Naruto thought to himself before speaking, so what business do you have with me? Very interesting, Abazoth said as he started to walk closer to him, hands in his pockets. I was flying by and caught the presence of a devil, so I decided to have some fun. But I have to say that you definitely caught my attention a lot more. After all, even though I can see you're standing right in front of me, I can't seem to detect your presence. It's almost as if you don't exist. He was picking up a devil's presence in the area? Does that mean someone else is in this forest as well? Naruto's head was full of questions as he stared at the fallen angel. Whatever this guy picked up, because of that he made direct contact with me and slipped through Saber's detection barrier. Naruto braced himself as Abazoth stood an arm's length away from him. So tell me, boy. Abazoth lifted a hand up and brought it under Naruto's chin. Just what are you exactly? What will you do with Naruto-kun? Riaz silently watched the two men. When the fallen angel first appeared, Riaz had thoughts about wiping him out quickly, but she stopped herself as curiosity got the better of her. Fighting someone who is a completely different species, show me your strength. What's wrong? Abazoth frowned as he removed his other hand from his pocket. You should speak when someone asks you a question. All right then, Naruto said as he reached up and smacked the fallen angel's hand away from his face. Don't touch me again. How dare you? The winged man exclaimed as he created a sword created from what looked like a green light. As he swung it down, Naruto slammed the back of his fist into Abazoth's arm with incredible force, knocking the arm away. Arg, what the? He was cut off as he immediately dodged a spinning high kick aimed at his head, but was cut off guard as Naruto continued his spin and sent out another kick with his other leg that made contact and sent the blue-haired man flying back into a tree. Naruto lowered his leg as he took a breath, looking down at his hand and leg with a quick glance before his eyes snapped back to Abazoth, who got back to his feet with ease. His body is much harder than I thought. I may need Saber's power earlier than I thought. I'm impressed once again with trash. Abazoth said as he patted his stomach a few times. You're very good at hand-to-hand combat, I should keep my distance. His wings flapped a few times before he shot up into the air. Just what's he up to? Naruto narrowed his eyes, silently signaling Saber to be ready just in case. Riaz stared up at the fallen angel as well, a calculative look on her face as she watched the battle. Now then, trash, let's see how well you handle these. With a snap of his fingers, Abazoth summoned two more weapons of light, a sword and a spear. Both started to shake like crazy as they pointed at Naruto. I hope seeing your dead corpse brings me some amusement, trash, as he shouted that the two weapons fired at Naruto, who stared up with a calm expression. He's just standing there, what is he thinking? Riaz thought as the weapons drew closer to him, but the blonde teen didn't budge as the weapons of light seemed to crash into him and caused an explosion. Naruto-kun. There's no way he could. Impossible, Abazoth muttered as a figure could be seen through the smoke, standing perfectly straight. The figure raised an arm and swung it across its chest, dispersing the smoke to reveal an unharmed Naruto, but if you looked real closer, you could see a very soft glow surrounding him. In his right hand was the light sword that had been shot at him. Just what are you? Naruto-kun, what did you do? Riaz mumbled to herself as she watched Naruto swing the sword a few times as if to test its weight. He's still holding it. What? You sound surprised. Naruto said in amusement before looking back up at the man hovering above them. Can't you comprehend what happened before your own eyes? The fallen angel narrowed his eyes as he stared at Naruto, He was able to catch the first sword and used it to destroy the spear as soon as it got into range. He's no ordinary man. Shaking his head a bit, he called out to Naruto. There's no way you can be a devil. Who are you, boy? My name is Naruto Uzumaki, a third-year student at Kuoh Academy. Naruto spoke up as he shifted his stance, and to answer your earlier question, I'm human. A human? The winged man repeated before an enraged look appeared on his face. A filthy, insignificant human was able to not only land a hit on me, but deflect my attack as well. What complete bullshit. Multiple weapons of light formed as he shouted this, each different shapes and sizes formed around him. No way, there's so many. Rias muttered to herself before shaking her head to focus. I need to stop this now. As much as she wanted to see Naruto's capabilities, the redhead cared more about his safety. But just as she was about to move forward and make her appearance, the fallen angel spoke again. All right, human, let's see how you handle my true power. Abezith shouted as he released his weapons at Naruto. Saber. The human thought as he spun the sword in his hand. Yes, sir. Saber's voice replied from within Naruto's body before the teen's body glowed a bit brighter. Remember that your limit can't go over 4 minutes or else your body won't be able to handle the strain anymore. Yeah, I know. Naruto's eyes narrowed as he felt more of Saber's power course through him. His head cocked up as the first projectile, a spear, came towards him at high speeds. Naruto shifted his body to the side before catching the spear as it was about to pass him and swung his sword at the next one, causing both weapons to break apart. The blonde jumped back on the third before swinging the spear in front of him, knocking back a sword that spun a few times before landing in Naruto's free hand. One by one, Naruto kept destroying Abezith's weapons, whether it was by the sword in his right hand or the spear in his left. None of the attacks reached him. From the shadows, Rias could only stare in amazement at the level of abilities Naruto was showing. Behind us, Naruto snapped his head back and saw 2 weapons coming at him from the smoke that had been created from the destroyed weapons. As they drew closer, he flipped back and kicked them back into the air as they passed him. Taking note of a glint coming from the direction he kicked the weapons, Naruto quickly stabbed the spear into the ground before placing his feet on it and kicking off with a lot of strength. Almost immediately, a halberd of light crashed into the ground and caused several cracks in the concrete as it exploded. Naruto landed on his feet and moved to grab the broken halberd before it disappeared and with a tug, threw it into the air with another weapon. The collision created a giant shroud of smoke around Naruto, making Abezith unable to see him. The fallen angel's eyes widened a bit when he saw 2 swords come towards him, spinning quickly as they got closer. But with narrow eyes, the winged man immediately summoned a sword of light in his hands and knocked the spinning weapons away. He looked back towards the smoke and saw that it was parting to reveal Naruto staring at the man with a hard look. Seeing that, Abezith's body began to shake with rage. How dare you! Raising my own blades against me will be your greatest mistake. I shall tear you apart. Abezith roared as he summoned even more weapons, this time almost covering the entire sky behind him in light. It's time for you to die. He still has that much energy left? Naruto's eyes widened in shock at the number of weapons, the glow around his body, and the strength he gained from it vanished. This isn't good. With Saber's power gone, there is no way I can handle all those. Rias turned her gaze from the weapons in the sky and turned back to Naruto in time to see him fall to his knees, panting from exhaustion. It seems. It made sense, since no matter what abilities Naruto had, the fact remained that he was still a human fighting a supernatural enemy. Deciding that it was time to stop the battle, a red seal appeared under her and quickly teleported her to Naruto's side, catching both him and his opponent by surprise. That's enough, fallen angel. She spoke with a chilling tone. Abezith narrowed his eyes when he saw her. I won't allow you to harm him. Rias-chan, what are you doing here? Naruto asked, but his question was dismissed as her gaze never left the man floating above them. Was she the devil Abezith was talking about? Devil, what are you doing meddling in my affairs? The Black-Winged questioned as he lowered himself to the ground level, dismissing many of his weapons of light along the way, but kept a few floating behind him. He is not part of your peerage and is still human, which means you have no business here. Rias had a cool smile on her face, the wind blowing past her making her hair rise itself into the air. That's where you're wrong. You see, this area is still my territory, and seeing as you're attacking someone in my presence, that gives me more than enough reason to step in. That red hair, I see you're the heir to the Gregory family. Indeed, would you care to test your luck against me? I can summon my peerage here in no time, or I can easily defeat you myself. Or you can turn around and walk away, it's your choice." Riaz finished while crossing her arms. Abezeth looked between the panting Naruto and the calm Riaz. "I see very well then, I shall take my leave." Even as the man dismissed the rest of his weapons and started to walk away, Riaz kept her guard up, not trusting the man to not try something. Sure enough, the man stopped walking and turned his head back to look at the two. "But before I leave, I still require one thing." A wall of multiple weapons quickly appeared and shot at Riaz and Naruto, "The death of both of you." Naruto widened his eyes at the number of weapons heading toward them and called out to his tenant, "Saber." "Hi." Naruto's body started to glow again and he raised his arm to send a large amount of energy in front of him and Riaz. The gold energy formed into a giant wall of light and deflected all the weapons, surprising the devil and fallen angel. Riaz took a step back as she felt the light start to weaken her a bit. She couldn't believe Naruto had this kind of power inside him. After the assault came to an end, the shield stayed there for a few more seconds before dispersing, revealing a shock to Bezeth. And to the red-headed devil's surprise, her power seemed to instantly restore itself, almost as if she was never exposed to the powerful light in the first place. That's impossible. For a human to be so powerful a sacred gear? He mumbled before extending his wings again and taking off into the air. "I won't forget this. The next time we meet, I will kill you." Riaz watched as the fallen angel's form disappeared into the distant sky, and after making sure he was definitely gone, she turned back to a heavily panting Naruto. She quickly went to his side and started checking him for injuries. "Riaz-chan, are you alright?" Naruto asked as he lifted his head up to face her, showing her his tired face. "Baka, I should be the one asking that," she replied as shook her head. "What were you thinking, fighting someone like that, and what was with that power of yours? It looks like it took a lot out of you." "Indeed, that's what happens when you try to push far more power than your body is used to." Saber's voice called out. The worry was evident in her voice. "Naruto-sama, you must return home immediately and rest." Naruto nodded his head at that before turning to a concerned Riaz. "I'll tell you tomorrow, right now I need to SL." Before he could say anything else, Naruto lost consciousness from exhaustion and fell into Ria's arms. The girl stared at her unconscious friend with a surprised look before shaking her head a bit, a smile on her face. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and the first thing he saw was a very familiar ceiling. He shifted his head to the side and looked around to see he was back in his room. He gazed outside the window from his spot on his bed and noticed it was morning. "I'm back in my room? But how did I get home? Was it Riaz-chan?" Naruto rose up a little and looked down to examine his arm. During the battle, when he had been pushing back all those weapons, one of them had managed to cut him along the arm. But, as expected of Saber's healing abilities, it had healed almost as soon as the cut had been made. That tiny girl never ceased to amaze him. Shaking his head a bit, he tried to lift himself off the bed but was met with something holding him down. Blinking a few times, he turned his head down to see his blanket was now covering his waist and a big lump next to him with a lump of red hair sticking out. "Hey Saber?" he called out in a confused tone. "Oh, Naruto-sama, good morning." Saber replied as she just woke up herself. She immediately straightened herself as she exited Naruto's body and reformed next to his bed, flying up to him with a concerned look. "I was a little worried when you suddenly passed out like that. Luckily Riaz-san was able to get you home safely." "So it was Riaz-chan?" Naruto shook his head a bit. "Never mind that. Did Mito sneak into my bed last night?" "Not that I can recall. Why?" The two paused their conversations and turned to the moving lump. Naruto slowly grabbed the blanket and pulled it off the figure. The figure slowly raised their body up, not noticing the shocked expression Naruto had as they rubbed the sleepiness from their eyes. "Good morning, Naruto-kun." The human was speechless as he stared at a naked Riaz sitting next to him. His eyes went a little down as her large breasts bounced as she moved her hand across her eyes before the gaze subconsciously started going a little lower. Leaning back a bit in surprise, Naruto realized he was sitting at the edge of the bed and lost his balance and fell onto his back with the blanket following him. Riaz stopped rubbing her eyes in time to see Naruto fall over and she leaned over the bed's edge to look at him. "Are you okay?" she asked as she tilted her head to the side. "Yeah, fine, never better wait." Naruto shot off the floor and pointed at Riaz. "Why were you in my bed, and more importantly, why are you completely naked?" Riaz shrugged her shoulders before answering, After I brought you here I decided to stay the night, and to answer your second question, I don't really like to sleep with any clothes on. It gets too stuffy during the night, and sleeping naked is just more comfortable." Her gaze went down before a small blush came to her face as a smile appeared. "It certainly appears you didn't mind me sleeping with you." Naruto blinked in confusion and noticed Saber was also staring at him with a red face. He followed their gaze downward to see he was naked as well, and little Naruto was standing at full attention. He turned his body away from the two and shook his head furiously as he tried to calm down. He could hear Ria's giggle a bit before feeling her body press into his back, her hard nipples pushing into his skin. "It's okay Naruto-kun," she whispered into his ear, making him shiver a bit from the feeling of her breath blowing into it. "I don't mind if you look at me like this. In fact I prefer it if it was you." She had whispered the last thing to herself as she pulled away, getting a curious look from Naruto as he had caught what she had said. "Huh, Rias-chan, is something wrong?" he asked with a concerned look. She was going over to a pile of clothes she had left on his desk, putting on her panties first. "It's nothing." Rias dismissed his concern and continued to put the rest of her clothes on. "So Naruto, you already knew about the three factions before last night, didn't you?" "Yeah." Naruto moved over to his door and turned the switch and checked to see if it was locked before moving over to put some clothes on himself. After putting on boxers and pants with a bit of difficulty, he turned back to see Rias was trying to clip her bra closed. "Need help? Please?" She turned her head to look back at him with a smile before lifting her hair to make it easier. "You know, you're actually taking this much easier than I thought you would. I would have figured you would be either embarrassed, confused, or even aroused." Naruto went up behind her and clipped her bra shut. "Trust me, it's taking a lot out of me to not jump you or do anything perverted right now. I am still a perfectly normal teenager with hormones after all." Naruto looked to the side to see Saber was sitting on the windowsill with a small blush still on her face. "But thanks to how I trained myself I can control myself and hold myself back. I don't know if I should be impressed or disappointed." Rias replied with a teasing tone as she put on her skirt. "So who told you about our world and how long have you known about it?" Not long after they were interrupted by a knock on the door and Naruto called out in a hesitant voice. "Who is it?" "Ani-chan." Mito's voice was heard on the other side, to which Naruto let out a sigh of relief. "Ka-chan says breakfast is ready." "All right, I'll be down in a second." After a few seconds Naruto called out again, "Hold on a second Mito." "Huh, is something wrong with Ani-chan?" Naruto turned to a fully dressed Rias. "Want to join us for breakfast?" "Sure, it smells amazing." She nodded with a smile. Naruto smiled back before calling out to his sister. "Mito-chan, can you ask mom to add another plate to the table? I have a friend that stayed over for the night." "Okay, I'll tell her." The sound of small footsteps heading down the stairs were heard. "A friend, huh?" Rias raised an eyebrow at Naruto, who was putting on a dark orange shirt with long black sleeves. "It's the truth, besides it's not like I can say my devil classmate teleported me here after I passed out from fighting with a fallen angel that could summon multiple weapons of light with a flick of the wrist." Naruto shrugged. "I guess so." Rias brushes her hair behind her ear. "You're still going to have to answer my questions later." "No problem, I will explain after we eat and find a good place to talk." Naruto smirked as he moved to the door and unlocked it, opening it wide and gesturing, "Well then, ladies first." Rias giggled into her hand, "Why thank you." With that said, Naruto and Rias made their way down the stairs where they were greeted with multiple reactions from Naruto's family as they watched him walk into the room with a beautiful girl his age. Kushina was shocked at the fact Naruto had a girl over, Mito was surprised to see Rias in their house, and Minato had a look of pride on his face. Naruto rubbed the back of his head as he introduced Rias. "Everyone, this is Rias Gremory. She's my classmate at Kuoh Academy. Rias, you already know Mito, and these are my parents Kushina and Minato." Rias kindly smiled and bowed to his entire family. "It's very nice to meet you all." Hello," Kushina replied slowly before motioning for them to sit. "I hope you're all hungry." Naruto moved to sit down in his usual seat while Rias sat in the open chair next to him. The girl was surprised to see such a wide variety of food on the table. As soon as Kushina sat down in her seat everyone started eating and conversing a bit. Rias guessed that since this was a free day the family could actually enjoy their meals in the morning. The devil girl smiled to herself at the warm feelings she could feel from the family before joining in on the conversation herself, as Kushina had asked her a question. Later at the occult club. I must say, your mother is a great cook. Ria smiled with her eyes closed as she sat in one of the two couches. Naruto sat across from her and smiled as he patted his stomach. After eating breakfast, the two of them decided to head over to Ria's clubroom to talk, so after saying their goodbyes and finding a secure place, Ria's had teleported them to the empty room since the other members would be out doing requests right about now. Yup, she's one of the best. Believe it or not, she used to be one of the top chiefs in Japan until 18 years ago. Really? Ria's opened her eyes. Why did she stop? Well, according to her, the reason she even started cooking was because she wanted to make my dad fantastic meals. After a while it became a livelihood and a passion, but after she became pregnant with me she stopped. Naruto explained with a grin. She still loves to cook, so every now and then she whips up something special depending on the occasion. That's amazing, I'll have to eat more of her meals then. Ria said while nodding to herself. Sure, I'm sure she'll enjoy having you around more. Next time though, you shouldn't use your power on them, Naruto pointed out. Oh, so you noticed? Ria's replied with an interested tone. What gave it away? Well, the fact that my mom didn't react anymore, the fact that I had a beautiful girl around my age staying the night in my room, was a big clue, Naruto casually said as he leaned his head back, but I doubt my mom will have any problems with you, you're pretty likable. Thanks, Ria's nodded her head, happy at Naruto's compliment. We'll see what happens later on. If you do decide to come over again, I'll have to cook something for you to try myself. Naruto noted as he thought back to when his mother taught him how to cook. You can cook? Ria's asked with a curious tone. Naruto nodded his head at her question. Of course, having a mom like that kinda makes it a requirement. Interesting, well, I can't wait to try it. Ria's commented as she smiled at Naruto before a more serious look grew on her face. Now then, back to the matter at hand, if you don't mind me asking, how did you learn about our world? You said earlier you learned about it recently, correct? The truth is that I only really learned about the factions and all that almost a week ago. Naruto explained as he looked up at the ceiling, but while I only recently discovered it, I have known that supernatural creatures existed since I was 7 years old. Since you were 7? Ria's crossed her arms, narrowing her eyes a bit. That's quite a long time to not be aware of the dangers that could come after you. Naruto glanced back down at Ria's for a second before rubbing the back of his head. It's not like it was by choice, Saber tried her best to keep me away from it as much as she could. Saber? Ria's asked as she tried to recall a being with a name like that but was unfortunately coming up with a blank. And who is this Saber? She's a spirit I met 11 years ago. It started when I was in the park with my mother. Naruto started to tell Ria's what had happened all those years ago, finding Saber who was all alone, convincing her to live on inside him, and some of the situations that followed. Needless to say, Ria's was amazed something like this happened to a young boy. For you to find something so powerful in a cave, I can't recall anything that could follow that kind of scenario. Ria's said as she thought back to her brother telling her about some of the holy artifacts. And from the sound of it, this doesn't sound like a sacred gear either. Sacred gear, aren't those powerful items given to humans by God? Saber had told me a bit about them when she explained the 3 factions. Now that Naruto thought about it, Saber had been awfully quiet since he left his room earlier. So you already know about them, that's good. Less for me to explain. Ria's nodded to herself before crossing her legs, so Naruto-kun, did you have anything you wanted to ask me? Now that you mention it, Naruto leaned forward and placed his elbows on his knees. Last night that guy had said something about a peerage, care to fill me in? Oh, you don't know? I guess it would make sense with this Saber trying to keep you away from the fighting. Ria stood up and moved over to her desk and summoned a small box via seal. She walked back to the seats, this time sitting next to Naruto, and opened the box to reveal several chess pieces. But in order for me to properly explain it to you, I should first tell you about the evil pieces system. It's a system that was created to repopulate the devil's numbers since we lost many of our own during the Great War. They're a set of 15 chess pieces that are given to top-class devils to increase their ranks by reincarnating other beings into devils. Ria started going into more detail about the different attributes and the pros and cons of each piece, making Naruto curious about the person who had thought up the whole thing. Wow, so from the few that seem to be missing here, I'm guessing you already have a few members in your peerage. Naruto looked at the chess pieces in the box. That's right, Naruto-kun, as you can currently see I only have 3 members of it so far. Rias nodded enthusiastically. You already met one member of my peerage and my queen, Akeno. I also have another who is a knight, and the last person is a rook. But I can see another one missing here, it looks like a bishop. Naruto noted as he looked at the remaining pieces, there was a rook, a knight, a bishop, and 8 pawns left, meaning she had 11 more members left to join her peerage. He turned away from the pieces to look at the red head and saw that she had a sad look on her face as she appeared to be in deep thought. Rias. She snapped out of her thoughts before shaking her head, giving a sad smile as she spoke. Unfortunately, my bishop is unable to be here at the moment as much as I want them to be. I see. So what exactly are the members of a peerage? Are they considered slaves or something? Naruto asked, trying to shift the topic a bit. I figure if this is based on the game, then that would make you the king and the most important piece, right? That's correct, Rias nodded as she grabbed a piece, one of the pawns, and lifted up for him to see. It's just like you say, the ones that become part of my peerage serve under me. But it depends solely on the king on how they treat their peerage. They can see them as slave, as comrades, or even a harem depending on what the genders of the members are. And what about you? Naruto narrowed his eyes a little. Slavery was not something he was a fan of. How do you see your peerage? The Gremory family is well known throughout the underworld for being caring and looking after their peerage. Rias replied, bringing a hand to her chest, our peerage becomes part of our family, and we never turn our back on our family. That's nice to hear, however, Naruto said, as pointed at her. I was asking how Rias-chan sees her peerage, not the Gremories. Rias was surprised at that, before shaking her head a few times, before showing Naruto a beautiful smile, which caught him off guard a bit at how breathtaking she looked at that moment. The people in my peerage are precious to me, and I will always protect them with everything I have, and I know they feel the same way when it comes to me. Naruto stared at her for a few seconds before he started to grin, glad to hear it. He stood up from his seat and stretched his arms outward. Thank you for filling me in on this, Rias-chan. It's no problem at all, Rias replied as she watched in amusement as Naruto twisted his body a few times. After all, you did answer my questions. Well, I should probably head home now, I've got some training to prepare for. Naruto clenching his fist as he remembered the battle last night. If it hadn't been for Saber's power and Ria's intervention, he would have died. He needed to get stronger in order to be ready in case he ever made contact with Abezith again. He had to have better control of Saber's powers as well. Walking around the table and couches, Naruto made his way to the door. Hold on, Naruto-kun. Ria's voice called out, making him turn from the door to see she was now standing behind the couch and had a concerned look on her face. If you're worried about me telling people about you and your club, don't. Naruto gave the girl a thumbs up, you're my friend after all. Thank you, but that's not what I'm worried about. Rias said as she walked closer to him, stopping a few feet away and reaching her hand towards his cheek. That fallen angel will definitely come after you again, because even if your power doesn't come from a sacred gear, they don't know that. And will see you as a threat. Then I'll just get stronger, Naruto replied as took a hold of Ria's hand. You saw how I did against him. I just need to get stronger so I can protect not only myself but also the people he could harm trying to get to me. I understand, but let me ask you this, what can you do as a human? While your abilities are incredible, there is no way you could stand a chance facing him again if he brings allies with him next time. Ria's thumb brushed along Naruto's cheek. Then what do you suggest I do? Naruto replied with his own question. I can't stand back and do nothing. Get allies of your own, Rias said as she took a step back. Become a part of my peerage. Will I become a devil? Naruto narrowed his eyes with a suspicious tone. Does that mean you've been wanting me to join you for a while, because this seems really convenient? I will admit, I've been interested in you since the day we met. Rias answered without hesitation, her blue-green eyes staring into his own. But right now I am not asking you as a devil, I'm asking as your friend and someone who doesn't want to see you hurt. Naruto had a serious look on his face before a small bit of amusement broke through. If anyone were to hear those words, they would think you were trying to tell me something. Maybe I am, Rias countered with a seductive look as she once again moved close to him, pressing her impressive bust against him and wrapping her arms around his neck. Like I said, I've been interested in you for a while now, and I refuse to lose you, whether it's by the hands of a fallen angel or even to another devil's peerage. Rias-chan, Naruto muttered as he stared into the red-haired devil's eyes. You do know I am not affected by your spell, right? Of course I do, but I'm not using them on you at the moment. She said, right now I'm asking you this with only my words and my honest feelings. Do you really want me to join that much? Yes I do. So what do you say, will you become mine? Rias asked, but whether or not she meant more to what she had said was unknown to Naruto. The blonde turned his head with a sigh before reaching up, his hand brushing against her soft hair as it went up and rubbed the side of his head. As much as I don't like the thought of serving someone, for some reason I don't think it will be so bad with you. As Naruto said this, Ria's smile grew. So do you have a specific piece in mind for me? Well, each piece has a pro and con to them, and the ones I think would benefit you the most would either be a knight or a rook. However, Rias released Naruto from her hold and moved back to the table where her evil pieces were. There are rare times when a devil can get a rare piece called a mutation piece, and the fact is that only 1 out of 10 devils actually have a chance to acquire one. Naruto let out a whistle. Wow, that is rare. So I'm guessing you have a mutation piece then? That's only half right. You see, I managed to receive not 1, but 2 mutation pieces. One was a bishop piece, which I had told you about earlier, and the other was this one. Rias lifted her hand to reveal the knight piece she had. So I'm guessing that's the one for me. Naruto mused, getting a nod from Rias. Are you sure? I mean, that kind of piece must be very powerful. You could save it for someone with much more potential. No, I'm sure. I've seen you in battle, so it is easy to determine that this piece is the best choice. Rias replied, thinking about Naruto's speed and power yesterday, imagining what would happen if that was boosted by a mutation piece. Naruto was quiet for a moment before nodding his head. Okay, so how does this process work? Do we need to do a blood pact or something? No, nothing like that. All you have to do is stand still. I just recite the words needed to reincarnate you, and the piece will then enter your body, then the process will begin. Rias explained as she moved in front of Naruto and raised the hand holding the mutation piece. Are you ready? As ready as I'll ever be, Naruto replied, making her nod her head once again. Alright then, let's get started. Creating a seal under Naruto, Rias channeled her energy through her body, and 2 black bat-like wings spread out from behind her back. Rias took a deep breath and began to speak. I, Rias Gremory, command under my name for thee, Naruto Uzumaki, to become my servant and lead a new life as my knight. The knight piece in Ria's hand floated up and moved in front of Naruto, glowing a powerful red as it drew closer. Wait, Naruto-sama. You must stop this immediately, Saber's voice called out, making Naruto blink his eyes in confusion, not noticing as the knight piece started to spark. Huh? Was all Naruto could say before his body began to glow just as the knight made contact with his body, causing a small explosion to occur and made Rias cover her eyes. The sound of someone yelling was heard, followed by something crashing through the wall. Rias slowly opened her eyes before a shocked look appeared on her face. On the floor where Naruto had been standing was the knight piece laying on its side. A giant hole was right next to the door to the hallway, and Naruto could be seen on the other side of it with his back to the hallway wall and his feet stuck in the air. His body twitched as smoke came off his body. Naruto-kun! Rias shouted as she quickly dismissed her wings before rushing through the hole towards Naruto's body. Are you alright? Naruto let out a few coughs before replying, I'm alright. Was that supposed to happen? As soon as he finished saying that, Naruto lost consciousness, startling Rias and Saber. Naruto-kun, Naruto-sama. They cried out at the same time. I'm so sorry, Naruto-kun. I didn't mean for that to happen. Rias said as she held a now conscious Naruto's head on her lap. After getting Naruto back into the club room, Rias was about to send her familiar to send for a healer, but was surprised to see Naruto's body glow for a second before instantly restoring itself, and after a few minutes he was awake again. It's okay, Rias-chan. It's not like you knew it would happen. Naruto reassured her, reaching his hand up and placing a hand on her cheek. I'm just wondering what happened. Maybe I should explain. The two turned to see Saber floating above them in a bowing position. It's because of my power. Huh? Who is that? Rias asked in surprise as the girl appeared out of nowhere. Saber? Naruto raised an eyebrow before realizing what Rias had said and turned to face her. Wait, you can see her? But how? Of course I can see her. Rias noticed Naruto's surprised look. What? Rias, this is the spirit I was telling you about. The one that resided within the scabbard. Naruto pointed over at Saber. This is Saber Lily. Wow, I've never seen a spirit so small before. Rias got closer to the flying girl and examined her. It's almost like she's familiar, but how can I see her? It's thanks to you trying to make Naruto-sama a part of your peerage and turning him into a devil. Saber said as she lowered herself onto the table in front of them. Naruto-sama, do you remember what I told you before about my scabbard's power a few nights ago? Oh yeah, you said that it can protect me from all magic and nothing can penetrate its defense. Naruto said as he recalled what Saber had said to him that night. Is that what happened? You rejected her power? It's still incredible to hear. Can a defense that powerful really exist? Rias thought to herself as she stared at the tiny girl before recalling last night when Naruto had used that very power to protect them from Abezeth's attack. Something that can reject all magic. That is technically what was supposed to happen, however you were willingly accepting it into you, so it reacted differently than it was supposed to. Saber explained as she sat on the edge of the table before placing one leg over the other. When my defense activated, instead of rejecting the piece entirely, it allowed you to just absorb the evil piece's power. Wait, does that mean I did become a devil? Naruto asked, Rias nodding her head at the question. After bringing Naruto into the room, she had gone to check the mutation piece and was shocked to see that Naruto had somehow absorbed all the power inside the piece, turning it into a regular chess piece, which meant she had to see if she could get a new knight piece. That is correct, you were successfully reincarnated into a devil. Saber answered before raising a hand over her chest. But because of my influence, your new body has certain advantages to it that normal devils do not have. Can something like this really be possible? Naruto asked Rias in confusion, raising himself from her lap and looking at her. The redhead had a hand to her mouth in a thinking pose. I don't know, this has never happened before, as far as I know. And the fact you were able to reincarnate from the power of an evil piece without becoming a part of my peerage should be impossible. Rias looked up from her deep concentration, trying to summon your wings. And how do I? He was cut off, as a pair of bat-like wings similar to the ones Rias had shown him earlier erupted from his back. But unlike her black ones, these wings were gold in color. Whoa, that was easy. Interesting, I've never seen devil wings in this color before. Rias muttered as she reached out and softly grabbed the wing closest to her. Naruto shivered as she rubbed it a bit, but even with the different colors, they still feel like regular wings. Rias-chan, can you please stop? Naruto barely asked, catching Ria's attention and looking at him to see he had a slightly red face. That feels kinda weird. Oh sorry, Rias apologized with a blush of her own as she let go of his wings. If you want to put them away, just imagine them gone. Alright. Naruto focused on making his wings go away, and with a gold flash they disappeared. As soon as they did, he looked over at Saber. So now that I'm a devil, what were those changes you were mentioning before? Saber coughed into her hand as she closed her eyes. I can't be too certain, because this is the first time I've belonged to someone who became a devil, which should be impossible to begin with. What do you mean? Naruto asked as he leaned forward. Naruto-sama, there is something I left out when I was telling you about the 3 factions and the sacred gears. It involves my creation. Saber said as I looked up at the two. My power influences my wielder's body and increases the properties of light in their body so they can use both my partner and I effectively. It is because of that and my defensive power you were able to grab and control those weapons in that battle with Abezeth. That is the normal requirement for someone to be able to fight with a holy sword, Rias said as she crossed her arms and stared hard at Saber, feeling as if there was something she was forgetting. I was created to be a partner with a holy sword, but not just any one of the 4 holy swords created by the original god himself. Rias gasped after Saber said that, making Naruto turn to her with a confused look. What? Did you figure something out? Naruto asked, but was ignored as Rias stared at Saber in shock. Rias? Naruto-kun, based on what you told me about Saber's past, the sword she had been partnered with was destroyed, right? The blonde nodded his head at her question. There has only been one sword that could fit that description, if it really is one of the 4 holy swords, the sword of promised victory, Excalibur. Nani? You mean the sword from the King Arthur stories? Naruto called out before looking down at Saber in shock. Saber, that was the partner you were talking about. The tiny girl was silent as she nodded her head in confirmation. Wow, that's incredible to think I had such a legendary partner this whole time. Naruto mused as he leaned back into the couch. Unreal, to think I will be face to face with the scabbard of Excalibur. Riaz said as she leaned closer to Saber and examined her form. It's almost hard to believe this tiny girl is Avenue. The redhead was interrupted as she felt Naruto grab onto her shoulder, catching her attention and turning her head to see he had a finger pressed to his lips. Naruto-kun? Sorry Riaz-chan, but can you not call her by that name? He asked with a smile, making Saber look up at him in surprise. After all, Saber and I agreed that when she felt that she was ready she would tell me her true name. Until she does, her name is still Saber Lily. Thank you Naruto-sama. Saber bowed her head in thanks. Riaz looked back and forth between the two before nodding her head. I guess that's fine, I was going to suggest we keep it a secret for now anyways. We have no idea what you're capable of with Saber's power influencing your own. This is uncharted territory for any devil, so I don't know how much I can help. Then we'll just have to take it one step at a time. Naruto replied before a thought came to mind, and if you want to, you can tell your peerage too, just make sure they keep quiet about it too. I appreciate that. But while we're talking about it, what happens to me now? I mean since I am not part of your peerage? Naruto asked as he sent the girl a curious look. Well I guess you could become an independent devil, though you would be a low-level devil until you boost your rank, but still, the female devil released a heavy sigh as she pouted. It was a real disappointment, and I was so close to having a powerful ally to join my peerage too. While I might not be able to join your peerage, that doesn't mean I can't be your ally. And I can still join the occult research club too, Naruto said as he tried to cheer the girl up. You're my friend Riaz, and I always do my best to help them out when they need it. Thank you Naruto-kun, I know I can count on you. The Gremarier looked at Naruto before nodding her head with a smile. Do you swear to always be there for me when I need you? Of course. I promise you right now that I will be by your side no matter what. The two didn't notice as their hands moved closer to each other, and believe me when I say that, when an Uzumaki makes a promise, they always keep it, no matter what happens. I'll hold you to that. Riaz said as she moved her body a little closer to his and rested her head against his shoulder. And Naruto-kun, I promise that neither my peerage nor I will ever turn our backs on you. Saber smiled at the scene before her attention shifted to a seal appearing at the door. Thanks Riaz-chan. Naruto replied as he sat still, the two of them enjoying the quiet atmosphere. But it quickly ended as a voice came from directly behind them. Foo, well now you two seem pretty comfortable. The two turned around to see Akeno leaning over them, making the two jump back in shock. Akeno, when did you get here? Riaz asked as she stood up to face her queen. Just in time to see you cuddle up to Naruto-kun here. The ponytailed girl smiled in amusement before turning to Naruto. So I take it, you're now a part of Butchu's peerage, Naruto-kun. Not exactly, Naruto rubbed the back of his head when he saw the confused look on Akeno's face before he and Riaz began to explain to her what happened the night before to what happened just before she arrived. When they finished explaining the situation to her, Akeno was now sitting on the couch, drinking some tea that she made for the three of them. I see now, this is definitely something new. But Butchu, we should keep this information away from Kiba for now. Riaz nodded her head with a serious face. Yes I agree, there is no way to tell how he would react to this. Are you talking about Kiba? Naruto's thoughts turned to the other male blonde he shared the title of Kuoh Academy's two great gentlemen with. Okay seriously, what was up with these weird titles? So he's a member of your peerage, as well? Correct, he's my knight. Riaz replied back. He's great with speed attacks and using swords. That is true, he did pretty well when we spared the other day. I guess this explains how he got so good to begin with. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the two women before looking down at his tenant. Saber was eating a cookie that was as big as she was. Apparently the spirit could now eat and drink like a normal person, though it seemed like she could eat a lot, even though she had such a small body, because that was actually her second cookie. Shaking his head in amusement, he turned back to the female devils. But why would Kiba have a problem with Saber? I mean, she has control over light, but still. While light is very dangerous to us devils, it is not the problem. Kiba has a deep hatred for holy swords, but the hatred he has for Excalibur is much greater than he has for any other. That caught Saber's attention as she looked at Akeno in surprise. If he were to find out that Saber-san here was related to Excalibur in such a way, it might not end well. Why would he hate them so much? Naruto asked. Excalibur was destroyed centuries ago, and Saber has been in a cave by herself since it shattered. The tiny girl had let go of her cookie and silently placed her hands in her lap, a sad expression on her face. "It's not our secret to tell," Riaz answered as she shook her head with a sad expression, "but until he can let go of his hatred, we should try to hold this information back as long as possible. For now we can just say Saber is a holy artifact you found as a child." I guess Naruto slumped back onto the couch. "So when do I meet the other members?" "They should be here in a little while. I'll explain more about a devil's duty while we wait." Riaz had a sly smile grow on her face, one that Akeno knew well. "But during that time tell me, Naruto-kun, how good are you at chess?" "Man, what a pain," that was Naruto grumbled as he walked along the path towards the occult club building. He had just gotten back from handing out flyers. According to Riaz, he had to set up his own contracts to boost up his ranking. So far he has made several in the past 3 weeks since he became a devil. Some of them were pretty simple, like babysitting for couples' children while they went out for a date night, helping men out with construction, and even helping cooking meals for a housewife and her family while she took care of the housework. But there were others that were weird, like that one college student who wanted him to do several poses while shirtless for a few paintings. She had been doing okay, so maybe that doesn't sound too bad, but she kept drooling and having a nosebleed whenever she looked at him, so it had taken her a bit longer to finish her work. Shaking his head, he continued walking, mentally tossing out the images in his head. Anyway, he did have to worry about his sister since Mito had already made it home by the time he already started passing out flyers. Maybe one day she could enjoy her time after school with a friend, or maybe a club of her own, hopefully not as dangerous as his was though. As he passed one of the buildings to reach the woods, the sound of giggling was heard, a perverted giggle. Narrowing his eyes a bit, he followed the sound and found 3 familiar boys peeking through the window, each giggling rather perversely and were wiping away small trails of blood from their noses. Well, only 2 were looking while the third was trying to move them to see. He didn't need to see what they were looking at, already knowing that this was the female kendo club's changing room. After the match, he and Kiba had a few of the girls would ask them to show them some pointers so Naruto could recognize some of the voices that were coming from inside the room. Silently sneaking up on the 3, he stopped as soon as he was standing directly behind them. Raising a fist to his open hand, he began to crack his knuckles. The sounds were heard by the 3, now frozen, perverts. They slowly turned around in fear, which only grew as they saw Naruto's smiling face. This, however, was not what scared them, as a dark aura seemed to flow around him. "So tell me, what's a good reason to not pound you 3 into the ground?" Naruto had said this loud enough for the girl inside to hear. They quickly changed and headed outside in time to see Naruto standing over the perverted trio who were lying on the ground with giant lumps on each of their heads. "Seriously, it's almost every day with you 3. Shut up, like you can talk. You have a girlfriend, so you wouldn't understand." The one with glasses, Motohama, shouted as he pointed up at Naruto. "Girlfriend? I don't have a girlfriend," Naruto replied. "Don't lie." The nearly bald-headed one, Mitsuda, exclaimed. "Everyone is talking about how you and Riaz Gremory are dating. I've even seen you walking with her while holding her bag." Naruto's eyebrow began to twitch. "Just what does that have to do with it?" Shaking his head, Naruto shook his head before speaking. "Listen, I don't." "You 3 be quiet." One of the kendo girls shouted at her, and the others ran up to Naruto's side. "Don't try to turn this on Naruto-kun, just because he isn't a pervert like you 3. "Yeah." The other girls shouted as they started beating the 3 with their kendo sticks, making Naruto sweat drop a little at the scene. With a sigh, the blonde turned around and started walking away, listening in on the screams of pain the trio was shouting from their punishment. "It's times like this that I'm glad I was raised how I was." Naruto scratched the side of his head as he once again continued his way towards the old building. "I hope I get some time to relax before I'm requested again." "Oh, Naruto-senpai." Naruto turned around to see Kiba walking up to him. "Are you going to the club room as well?" The older blonde nodded his head. "Yeah, I just finished handing out flyers for today, so I'm just going to relax a bit before someone summons me." "I'm surprised you didn't just teleport back to the club," Kiba said. "Well, it was a nice day, so I figured I'd just enjoy the walk," Naruto replied as he gave a shrug. Unlike most devils, while the daylight annoyed Naruto a little, it didn't bother him as much as the others. Riaz suspected it was thanks to Saber and the additions she had talked about. Somehow he didn't receive any of the weaknesses that devils had when it came to light. But they still needed to see if things like crosses and other holy items had an effect on him. Besides, you're walking there too. True, but I just figured it would be a waste since I was so close to it anyway. Kiba said with a smile. The two made their way towards the building and started to walk inside. They walked up the stairs and arrived at the door, but as Naruto reached for the doorknob and grabbed it, Kiba's symbol began to glow. Looks like someone is summoning me, I'll be back in a bit. Alright, see ya. With a nod in response, a seal appeared below Kiba and teleported him away. Naruto turned back to the door and opened it before going inside. I'm back. Oh, welcome back, Naruto-kun. Akeno greeted the blonde as she looked away from the chessboard that was on the table. I take it, you finished handing out flyers? Yeah, it's a major pain in the ass. Naruto grunted as he started walking over to one of the couches. Hearing the sound of running water, the blonde devil turned his head to the direction of the shower. So I'm guessing Riaz-chan is in the showers? That's right, she should be out in a little bit. Akeno brought a hand to her mouth as she grew a small smile. If you want to take a peek, I don't think she'll mind. Naruto looked back at her for a second before shrugging his shoulders. Nah, I'll just wait for her out here. As he sat down and rested against the couch's soft cushions, a whistling sound could be heard throughout the room. It's interesting how much control you have. Akeno smiled before she walked away, making her way towards the steaming teapot. Tell me, Naruto-kun, do you go for the other team? Naruto's face went pale white at that before turning to look at the buxom devil's back and shouting out, no way in hell. I like women. Alright, THEN, Akeno called back as she poured tea into several cups, picking up two and bringing them back to the table. Here you go. Thank you. Naruto took one of the cups from Akeno with a slow nod before taking a sip of the tea. This is pretty good. Where did you get it? I actually made it. Akeno said as she sat down next to him. Sometimes this is good for most requests I do. Really? Like what? The blonde looked at his classmate with a curious expression. He already knew that Riaz only worked with the more high-class jobs like removing curses or destroying monsters. Kiba's requests usually involved older or working women who needed someone to talk and vent to or cook for them, and Kaneko's ranged from playing cards to posing in cosplay. But he never really found out what Akeno did for her requests. He wondered what she did. I mostly help my client relieve their stress using different methods. Drinking tea and listening to their troubles is one of them. Akeno explained with a smile. Relieving stress, huh? Naruto took another sip of his tea, thinking about what Akeno had said. Sounds kinda nice, helping people with their worries. Yes, it can be. A sly smile appeared on Akeno's face as she suddenly leaned closer to Naruto, pressing her very impressive bust into Naruto's arm, making the blonde grow a small blush. So tell me, Naruto-kun, do you have any stress you want me to help you with? That's enough of that. Saber called out as she ejected Naruto's body and appeared in front of Akeno's face. I won't allow you to go any further. Ara Saber-san, how are you? Akeno asked, acting like nothing had happened. Would you like a snack? Don't write a change, though. She was cut off by a growling sound. Saber's face gained a small red line as she stared at Akeno with a straight face. Yes, please. After all, hunger is one of the biggest enemies to fight. Akeno let out a little giggle before standing up from the couch and making her way to get Saber something to eat. Naruto let out a soft sigh before looking at his little friend with an amused look. You can be such a glutton sometimes, Saber. A small tick mark formed on the red-faced Saber, and she quickly flew in front of Naruto's face. Even if you're my master, I refuse to ignore what you just said. Naruto only laughed as the tiny girl waved her hands in a cartoonish manner. Don't laugh, it's a good thing I stopped Akeno-san or else. Once again Saber was interrupted from continuing, but it wasn't by her stomach this time. Or else what? The two froze for a second before turning to see Riaz looking at them while drying her hair with a towel. Hey there, Riaz-chan, done with your shower already? Naruto blinked a few times before smiling at the girl. No, you didn't miss anything. Akeno was just telling me about some of the requests she made. Giving Naruto a suspicious look as she walked towards the couch, but she walked right past it and made her way to the window. Riaz lowered her towel from her hair and seemed to stare at the outside for a moment before slowly opening the window. Riaz-chan? Naruto watched with curiosity as the redhead turned from the window and made her way to the couches again, this time sitting in the seat across from him. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. Rias replied, a calculative look on her face as she looked at the chessboard that Akeno had been messing with earlier. So Akeno set up a new puzzle while I was in the shower. Was that what she was doing? Naruto tilted his head as he looked down at the board and noticed some of its pieces were set up in various locations. You really like these things, huh? They can be entertaining at times, however Rias reached out and moved a few pieces. Some of these problems are too easy to find the solution. Checkmate. At that moment Akeno was walking back, oh but you're back, and I see you finished a puzzle. She handed her king a cup of tea before she placed a small plate with a few strawberries in front of Saber. Here you go, Saber-san. Thank you Akeno-san. Saber bowed her head in gratitude before floating down to the table and grabbing one of the strawberries, eating it at her usual pace. Naruto smiled down at Saber before looking back at Rias, who still had that look on her face while she stared down at the tea in her hands. Akeno had moved over to her usual spot, standing behind Rias as she sat in her seat. Okay Rias-chan, what's up? The redhead looked up from her drink at Naruto. Something is bothering you, what is it? Rias stared at Naruto for a few seconds before placing her teacup down. I've been doing a bit of research on that fallen angel we met a few weeks ago, Abazith. The image of the blue-haired man with his weapons of light flashed through Naruto's mind. From what I've gotten so far, he's actually high up in the rankings when it comes to fallen angels, not as high as one of the leaders, but a powerful member. Yeah, I figured that out during our fight, Naruto said, as he recalled the numerous weapons the man had been able to summon so easily. Thinking back on it now, he could remember seeing something off about the man's wings. Now that I think about it, his wings seemed a little weird, like they were layered. Rias nodded her head, that's because he was keeping his wings closed together, he actually had more than one set. As a fallen angel grows stronger and raises up through the ranks, they get a new set of wings added onto theirs. It's from this knowledge that I believe he is the one leading the fallen angel group that's in town. So you're saying that there's more of them here? Naruto questioned as he narrowed his eyes, do you know what they're after? From what I've found out from my friends, they seem to be targeting a second year that goes to our school. Rias lifted one of her glowing pieces, his name is Issei Hayadu, I'm sure you both are aware of who he is. Wait, Issei Hayadu? As in one of the perverted trio, the brunette with the oppai fetish? You are telling me that little pervert has somehow gained the attention of a fallen angel? Naruto asked as he recalled what happened less than 30 minutes ago while Rias nodded her head. And you are sure about this? I am. In fact, I believe she is going to go after him today, most likely to make him drop his guard by asking him to be her boyfriend. Seriously? Naruto raised his eyebrow. This might sound rude, but who would actually go out with that little perverted of their own free will? His word got a positive reaction from the devil girls as Rias grew a small smile and Akeno giggled into her hand. There must be more to it than that. I must agree with Naruto-sama, Saber spoke up as she finished her last strawberry. Is there any specific reason that they are after him? Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. If you want the next part of this story, let me know in the comment box. See you next time, till then sayonara.